Bonjour, bonjour. En Indien. Kio ish taban, miayan, kisses. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. Yeah. It used to be I could do two things at once, but I'm having trouble with that now. So, yeah. Well, tonight we're going to start 3 of the 7 grandfather teachings. Tell you how they came to be and why they came. To me, personally, I think of all the things that I've been approved to teach and to talk about, is these are probably the most important things. The teachings of the grandfathers. The historical things are good to know about our beginnings and everything else, but this talks about us personally, how we can live our life. It gives us tools to live by when we have hardship or misunderstanding. It also provides us with building our defenses, but at the same time accepting the perspectives of others that may be different from ours. If we've inadvertently hurt people or caused anger or doubt or mistrust, it provides you the tools to help somehow try to mend that bridge or build that bridge that might have been broken or anything like that. But it also teaches us about the capacity of how far we can go as human beings, you know. And if we fully embrace these 7 teachings, there is no limit to where we can go and what we can do as human beings. Unfortunately, the Creator's love is Chumanatu's Zagawin. His love has always been there. But somehow as humans, we've we've walked away from it. So we're going to examine the first teaching. But before we do that, excuse me, must tell you how these came to be. According to the old legends, there was always 7 teachings. And apparently mankind, after the flood and the renewal of earth, man again, his life and his the community, it started to unfold from being a whole, balanced, good, healthy communities. That life and man started to walk away or take a different road from which the Creator wanted us to live. And we've all been there. I've been there. I haven't always lived a good life, good spiritual life. And sometimes we get on this road or brought to that road at different times. Some of us are more stubborn than others, and sometimes the Creator has to really give us an example or do something to us. That I was just watching a movie how this guy was so entrenched in his life that caused him to go blind, and what it took for that man to reach out to the Creator and realize, you know, he needed to see what he was really seeing, and that wasn't the good road. So man had become again so embroiled and so selfish in their own lifestyles that they lost track of the Creator and the path. And I remember a lot of times as a young man, sometimes I stood out there sometimes at night hollering. I was drunk and saying things, what's my life for? What's life about? I don't know anything. I'm just going in this other way, this other direction. I'm just abusing myself, and I just, I didn't really want to live, really. So, I mean, for myself, life had gotten really bad. Anyway, so basically that's what happened to mankind. And I believe the Creator looked at mankind. He says, maybe 1,000 years have passed, several thousand, I don't know. But it came a time they had to do something. And the 7 grandfathers, they say, are 7 spirits that live in the heavenly realm. And they all hold a fire, a truth that teaches one single thing. And they talk about compassion. They talk about forgiveness. They talk about love. So they took an innocent. And to us, an innocent is like an abnuji, a child, an unstained child. And it said that he just vanished from the village. And of course, they searched for him and they didn't know what happened to him. But this little boy found himself walking in a mist. And he kept on just walking through that mist. And here at a distance, he seen a light. And it was dark. And there was a mist, but he seen that light and he seen this fire, like this one up here. And he walked towards that light and he came to a big lodge. And here he looked inside and there were 7 elders sitting around a fire. And they told him, be in again. Come in. Mishu must been on my grandchild. They said, come in, my grandchild. So he came in, he sat down. And they all smiled at him, making him feel safe and not alone. And each one talked to him about life, but they also talked about one specific thing. And this is the teachings of the 7 grandfathers. Well, at the conclusion of that, he said, now you got to go. Told this boy he had to go, this young boy, little boy, he had to go. Well, he went back, and here he woke up. He was laying on the grass in a forest, and here he felt thirsty, and he went to some water that was nearby, and he started drinking. And here he noticed from the reflection he was an old man. He was an old man. And a lot of time had passed. He looked at his hands and looked at his hair, there was an old man. He said, what happened to my youth? What happened? And then he started thinking, I wonder if my people would even know me. They probably wouldn't, he said. And so he was still having these doubts, and he was told that he has to go back to his people. So they sent him back. So, and here, here he's seen something floating in this water. It was Niget, the otter. And this otter came on shore, and he says, my older brother, he said, I'm your companion. Allow me to accompany you. And he felt better because he felt alone. And so he went back, and of course the people didn't recognize him. They didn't know where he came from. And he says, well, my parents are from here, and I was from here. And so he told him his parents' name, and here they realized that he was that missing boy from some of the old people that were still alive. He was that missing boy, but they never did find him. And of course, his parents were gone, and much of his family was gone. And he told them what had happened to them. And he started talking to them about the 7 teachings. And so there Niget had become his companion. And for the rest of his lifetime, he taught the people about the 7 teachings. That's where it came from. But Niget at that time became a prominent figure, Niget, in the life of the Anishinaabe, because it is the first symbol of the Medeawan that leads into the teaching lodge of the Medeawan. That's the first bag that's given to you. It's a skin, and there your mega shell goes in that bag that they shoot at you. That goes into your body, and then it's retrieved out of the body and saying new birth. And there you're taught or reinforced by your family, the 7 grandfather teachings. And as a new member, you're to get those teachings within the first degree of the Medeawan, the first level of the Medeawan. So teach you how to become a good person. So that's where this came from. So the first one we're going to talk about, we can move, is Sage de Win, love. Now there's papers on the back. I want you to take what you want there. We're going to discuss 3 of them. And I'm not in the order that they're up, but I think Sage de Win is probably the most important to me, because you can't accomplish anything else of understanding without love, realizing love. Sage de Win. There's 2 types of love. There's 2 types of love. Some say 3, but so there's spiritual love, like the love of the Creator. Okay, the unconditional love, kind of love. No matter what, how you are, what you do, how you live your life, or even if there's a great chasm between you and the Creator, or you don't, you're just living a full-blown out life of rebellion and whatever. Creator still loves you. You're on a spiritual path. Even if you're doing drugs, still it's spiritual, because a person is never alone. It might divide them, but the Creator still loves you. That's what they call godly or spiritual love. Okay. Because you started out, the spirit of the Creator is still in you. And I know I can remember something. I remember my mom one time, she got mad at me when I was a little boy. I do remember that. And she called me a little devil. You know, so oh, anyway, I just I must have been bad at times, but was I bad? Was it? So yeah, I remember that, but you know, and then there's the human love. There's the human love. And as much as we try to emulate or copy that spiritual love, like the Creator have for us. And, you know, but it's harder. People don't always get forgiven for their trespasses right away. And it's hard. It's hard for others to forgive. And sometimes we just don't understand all of that. I think because I know in the world right now, there's people that are killing each other, you know, fighting for their lives, and others trying to oppose or suppress their life. And I don't quite understand that because they, you know, people are taking life and through, you know, brutal means. I know we reason out that sometimes it's necessary, you know, but sometimes there must be some other way conflict can be. We can have a different means of dealing with conflict. So there's that. And then there's what they call the human exotic love. But we probably won't talk too much about that. Okay, so up on the board behind you, there's many kinds of different love. They say it's harder for man to express love than it is for a woman, because a woman naturally, because of her children and stuff and grandmothers, but for a man, it's always seemed to be harder, but I don't know if that's really true. You know, I've always told my children I love them always and embrace them, and they and my grandchildren, great grandchildren, and they in turn, they do that to me. So I don't know, I can only speak for myself, but I'd like to hear from some of you what love means to you. I'm going to talk first to the men. Who wants to be first?
I just feel like love, like always feel towards my wife. That it's just unconditional. Like my feelings don't matter at all. It's very comes to thinking about her, you know. And there's the love that I feel towards my grandma, my mom, and what they're there. They showed me the love that if when they showed me that love, then I would have gone off on a totally different path.
Mhm.
So I believe that love is a very strong emotion.
Yeah. Good.
So I hear what you're saying about men can feel that love too, even though, you know, we didn't carry that child, but I don't see how one love can be greater than another. I don't see how my love can be greater than your love. Know what I'm saying? So I feel like we all feel the same emotions and we all feel the same love. We all think that we're all different from everybody, but we're all the same. We all feel the same emotions. And love is the answer.
Yeah.
And every night, every single day of my life, in my prayers, I think about my mom, my grandma, my aunts, and all my uncles, everyone that I've passed. I think about those guys every night, and that's what I love them. And I want to be with them again.
Mhm. Make sure you come to the story when I do the storytelling. You must be there for Sky Dancer, the story of Sky Dancer.
Right?
Yeah. Both of you, so. Anybody else? Any other?
Yeah, just love me is kind of like you said, you know, you don't have them. It's like my kids, my wife, and it was, my life was bad until I took care of them. So that's everything I do should be for that. That's what you're working for. You're not
Mm,
basically. If need be.
Great answer. Yeah, it's different types of love and how you express that love.
Yeah.
You know, just like these men said, you know, it's, well, to me, it's types. And it's different between my wife, the love I have for my wife, the love I have for my kids. But also the love and the passion I have, for example, our culture, our
Mhm.
traditions. And then the love and the passion that I have for duty, honor, such as being in the military. You know, you have that warrior society,
mhm,
military, brotherly love. You're
mhm.
connected for life in the military. So there's out, even if you don't know somebody, and you meet someone and they're a veteran of long wars, where they served in the military, you're automatically a brother, and you have that respect. So to me, it's types of love, and then how you express it.
Makes sense. Anybody else? Well, yeah, you don't have to respond, you know. I mean, that's fine. If you,
When I went into the military, I took an oath. And when I took that oath, I counted. And believe you me, I've seen many things that have to do with the women, the children, the whole people. And I didn't like it. But the thing that, to me, what that kind of was, that's just about what to me. I mean, that's just the same. It's in the gospel.
I got you, love you.
As far as our people in America, I love to see our people go forward. And, you know, when they do, we're all in the pride as one.
Mhm.
Can't do it together. You know, and then there's a crust on that that says the Yahweh liver on it.
The what?
Yahweh's liver,
Oh,
you need to give us the pressure.
Hmm.
And you know, even though we come up here today, you know, all of our people, we're all struggling. But the love that I have for our people is totally different. That it is for my family. My friends. So many children. Of mine, the way I would. It's what we both have different opinions. We're gonna, we talk about it,
Mhm.
and we get it straightened out. And then come friendship, and then come work. Is what we're talking about.
Mm.
One from the chat.
Huh?
We got one from the chat. Frank Belgrade says, love is giving of oneself for the betterment of the world and others.
We acknowledge that.
Say Frank Belgrade.
Belgrade.
Okay. How about you women? Anybody? Some of you are younger, some of you middle age and if that makes a difference, I don't know, but I guess what is that? What kind of meaning has love had for you in your life? What's the impact of it? What's the importance of it? Where does it lie on those levels of importance in your life? Go ahead.
I think it's the most important for each human that they can experience love as a child. Because there's so many things happening.
Hmm.
Spent most of my career with young people. The story is touching really, but the passion for so many people that I've seen, all elders, people that care. I've seen that love, even if it's one day or one thing that's said, comes back to them
Mhm.
20 years later, and they remember that moment. So I think that we can be thinking about this being long term, but it can be almost instantaneous. When we're in action with each other. My toughest moments in my life were when others that I did care about didn't return.
Mm.
And that is the biggest test of our soul and our being. As whether we can stay in a situation and face the challenge of love not returned. So I think that's all the novice is. And I had a friend last week that said something like, there is no creator, because if there was, the creator would have to be the coolest person ever in the whole cosmos, because of all of that things that happen on Earth. And I listened to that, and I told finally, you know, if you stop and think about it, you can just put whether the creator is there or not. And really what's done to them is stand up.
Mhm.
It really doesn't come from beyond, because what comes from beyond is that spirit. And that spirit gets the spirit. You know, people who didn't have it, and then we turn out to be free, wild, and wicked. But it's because they love and care. That's my belief.
Good, very good.
Well, what you were just saying right there is exactly what I've been my whole life. I've battled with why, how you could love somebody, feel that love, and you know that that's love, but they don't feel that towards you, you need to return that back. You know, but that doesn't mean that the love that you feel towards them is any less love, you know what I mean? So that is a cruel joke that would be allowed to feel that and not have that reciprocated, because it would be so much more peaceful in this world if everybody just had someone.
You know, I made an interesting observation one time. My husband drives semis part-time hauling cows. And we went over to the state prison one year to pick up a load of cows out of their farming part. And there was quite a few young prisoners there helping and just happily earned that freedom to go do that. And there was probably about 5 or 6 of them, and they were up on the fence. And my husband was out there talking and stuff, but I was watching them and watching their faces, but mostly their eyes. And I was just amazed at, even though they were visiting, their eyes were so sad. Because they were young, they didn't have women, they were, and it dawned on me. And I mentioned it to my husband, did you notice? No, but. Oh. Anyway, I said, you know, the sad part about this whole thing, they're so young. And it came from when they were young, that they didn't have love in their life. There was no direction for them. And kindness. And to see those young men and think, you know, they just didn't have that at all. And it showed on their faces. Most people probably don't have it. Kind word and just, even if you don't know, you know, just being kind of them. And I witnessed that a lot when I was actively nursing. I took care of this one gentleman, and he was to pass away, but it wasn't his time. And when I come on shift, he would just be there. And one night I talked to him and I said, do you know what I'm saying? And he was not a man to speak feelings by any means. And he said, no. He said, I did something terrible a long time ago, and I know I will not go to heaven. And I said, well, you know, if you want to pray about it. He said, no. Well, he called me back later that evening, and we prayed about it, and he died through the night. He finally felt released. But I felt a tremendous love for that man. Just because he needed someone to love him and to help him see the way. So.
Good.
Couple line people.
Okay.
From a Darcy Odell, says love is to be vulnerable, to forgive, to care, and to show unconditional affection.
Okay. We
And
acknowledge that.
second one is from Jessica Ford, which is love to me is forgiveness, compassion, and patience.
So we acknowledge that too. I mean, love is the most powerful emotion the human human beings have, I believe. And it has to do some with that godly spirit that Creator put in us. And of course, it reflects in and out of our eyes. We see that, you know, like you said. A friend of mine told me, he said, there's a difference between feeling lonely and being alone. I felt that way a good part of my life, always alone. And, you know, that I guess contributed to the way the path I lived on for some time, but, so the most important thing to me is family, of course. And I always believed that the first gift of the Creator was the children that were given to me. But as life is, sometimes your spouse, and it's vice versa, doesn't, match up during certain times or, fails or something, but I've always, been forgiving, but at the same time, I know I'm never alone. So that relationship that I have on a personal basis with the love of the Creator is the most important thing. And I always have tried to acknowledge that and beyond that, because I feel the happiest, the most content. And even though sometimes I'm alone, I'm not alone. And so wherever I go, whether it's, I never feel alone. I feel there's always a presence. And I've never tried to blame other people for the problems that I cause. When I reflect and look at that, yeah, and that's something I think destroys us. And I think that's something that you see presently and has always been on the past. Oh my goodness. Okay, I thought I shut this off. No, I was talking about her. She called. Uh-oh. She heard. You know what I'm talking about, Richard. But anyway, so yeah, we have to be motivated by the love in our life to do things. And as one of the things written on the board, you can't live with this love alone. It compels you to act on it. You have to. You can't. That's something, a force so powerful. You have to get out there, announce it. You got to show it. And I think that's, I have a lot of respect for people who do things voluntarily, like for animals, for children, for women, for good things that are going on in our country or for the world. And I don't condemn other religions or other faiths, because there are people that believe similar. And I believe there's always one Creator, and that we have to, that we need to do something from our heart. If we have to listen more to our heart. And so, all right. Is there any more?
From a Daryl states, I understand that infants will be healthy and develop much better when they feel loved and held. People need to be reminded how much we care for them.
Right. Today I was, and I've seen this young man here walk by where I live. Young man, he's got, and I mean, he's probably in his early 20s or late teens. He's got some tattoos on his face and he goes around carrying a bat. No hair. And I seen that guy, and I can just feel, there's must be some kind of issues he's dealing with. But on my way here, I seen him. And I took another route here than I normally take. And I seen him and I slowed down and I waved to him, And he looked at me, because he looked at me and he wasn't smiling, but I waved at him, smiled, and he actually waved. So sometimes just showing something like that, that you care enough just to acknowledge somebody as another human being, a handshake, and how are you doing today? That's important. That's important.
Acknowledgement.
Yeah,
Rejection, the parents were, or
right.
family members, or can send something on returning that love. I think that's what I see really is one of the hardest things for people to deal with that rejection.
Right.
And so just that smallest gesture, like you said, walking through the store, or seeing somebody on the street and waving, that one little thing can make a difference. I mean, when my kids were growing up, we took in numerous kids that their parents were just whatever. My house was kind of like a flop house, but the kids were safe. You know, they knew as soon as they walked in, they were welcome, but they would follow the rules. And as long as you follow the rules, we're good. But if you don't, no matter what, never be treated just like our kids.
Hmm.
The rules apply all the way around. And we always have kids because they felt safe and they felt that somebody cared.
Mhm.
But yeah, I've seen it numerous times with people just having that acknowledgement that somebody actually sees them. It's very-
One of the most frightening and sad and just tragically sad things that are unfolding today is the wanton murder of innocent children. And a couple years ago, I did a little self-research into school shootings. And of course, years ago, I used to live and work up on the Red Lake Reservation. And I was a social worker then, a case manager, child protection was on the child protection team. And, you know, so we had to deal with some really hard issues that involved children. But I got to know them. And then I took another position at Spirit Lake in North Dakota. Not the same thing. But that's when that shooting happened at the Red Lake High School. And a lot of those kids that were killed, I knew personally. And I've been in their household. I had an interaction with them. And yeah, it's just, but I think about these young men, when I look at the circumstances of why the reasons they gave their motivation for doing what they did, that there was a disconnect at some point in time between their peers or their parents or somebody that meant something to them. And there was a disconnect. And it was usually negative. And so, as all humans, you know, in that rejection, they tried to blame or something else. And of course, they turned either on their parents or grandparents, as what happened in Red Lake, and then he went to the school. But yeah, there's always that disconnect. And so I thought about that in my own life. What impact did I have on people that when I was living a certain way in high school, you know, doing the things I did, and, you know, what kind of impact did I have like on those that were weaker? And, you know, and what impact I have on that. So we do have an impact every day on everybody that we come in contact. And really nationality or ethnic, really, that might tie into it, or relationship, but it's just that love connection. Their perception of how we're connecting. So important. And young people, it can really have effect. I taught in junior high. Oh, those kids are tough, 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 tough. Oh my gosh. And they just verbally and abuse each other terribly. And, you know, I always tried to talk to them about the 7 teachings. I mean, but, you know, there's so much going on upstairs, but it's so important. And I believe if we make that connection on a daily basis, say to ourselves every day, after we smudge ourselves every day, you know, try to be good to somebody. Try to shake their hands, just tell them, have a nice day, you know. The Creator cares about you.
Takes one kind word.
Yeah. Always just something. You can change. You can change the world. You can affect other people. It can make a huge difference in their lives. Make a huge difference.
Everything that is other than just saying something is letting stuff go.
Yeah,
Because you don't need to get mad at every single thing. You don't need to flip out at every single thing. You don't have to get irate just because somebody cut you off or anything. You
Mhm.
just let that go. Because you don't know what kind of day that guy's having. You don't know, like, maybe he lost his wife and shit that
Yeah.
day because of divorce or whatever. We just wait looking for a reason to go off, you know, and everybody's back now, so. Really don't know, you can't just go up to anybody and just start something with them because they could just pull out a gun and start killing everybody, you know? You just, after all been permitted, you're just hiding, you just let stuff go.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's always gonna be somebody out there that's having a bad day.
yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of going on. And people say, oh, there's a lot of crazies out there today. Well, again, that's a perspective, personal perspective, but you know, just be good to one another. You know, use that tool, showing kindness, asking if you need help or anything. It can make a big difference, you know. So I need to go on to this other one. Any more questions?
From a Jessica Ford said, as someone who wasn't told I love you as a kid, love sometimes is uncomfortable and very sensitive.
Well, you go up to an animal like a dog or a cat. You know, when I think about something like that, that a lot of children aren't showing that, maybe they're just showing the opposite. You go up to an animal and you reach out to them, and how do they react to you? They may kind of jump or move back, but if you persist to touch that touch, they'll show affection and love to you. Affection to you, and then eventually love. There's that bond. So we have to reach out as humans. It's not going to magically happen. We have to take always that first step. I mean, you see love in the world and in families and with children and with grandparents. If we want that, it's something we desire. Of course, the Creator loves you, but sometimes that spirit will ask you to reach out. And sometimes we have to do it. We have to take a risk to do that. So, you know. Or so much like the Creator, that person will come into our life that will show us that too. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I have one more thing about what love has on a person is that it expands your awareness. If you're closing your heart, it draws walls.
Mhm.
Stop. But if you're living with that spirit that we talk about, it makes the world bigger. And I think that's something people.
I like that. That's so true too. Yeah. It opens up a whole different world to you. It emboldens you to tear those walls down.
Awareness reaches out, if you can move it.
Yeah.
reaching out.
You can't contain love. It's just goes. Well, I could sit here all night talking about that. That's a good subject, good things. Mondin will win. Mondin will win is respect. Respect. You got it? Next one. Oh, yeah. Oh, over there. And the symbol for that is Mucky Day PG key, the buffalo. When you see the buffalo, and I see that I'm not on Facebook. I got off a few years ago, but I may go on to it again, but I don't know. When you see the creature like the buffalo, and we see humans trying to get close to it and other animals, it just demands respect. So, and but anyway. But what is respect? What is the spirit of respect?
Boundaries.
Huh?
Having boundaries.
Having boundaries, yeah. What kind of boundaries?
Like in the buffaloes.
Good.
But, if they're making noise, they don't get too close and stuff.
Or their tail goes up.
I climbed a tree though. There's a whole herd, so trying to climb the trees, like trying to touch the bottom.
Oh.
But like they were all on the thing, and one of them actually rolled over and scratched his back, and then the cat was like, "What did I do? Why did you do that?"
Really? Whoa, you're brave. I hope you're holding on tight. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And there was a bus full of old minutes. And, me and a friend of mine were riding bike through there. And I happened to look up and they seen the kid walk off the bus. Well, just a little ways down later, the 1,500 pound lady laid down. Either that kid was stupid or his parents were watching. He went up and gave that buffalo.
Hmm.
That buffalo just turned around and looked at him, didn't do this. But everything was just standing out. And I got off the bike. I walked over there and scared, which means to English. Very, very slow, very fast. Suddenly. That's one time I get was 50 shades of white by the time. But I know kid. That's the kind of respect that I have for that animal. You know, and it's all not to other students. But that respect for that animal, now when we move or even budge. That was times where they attacked people. We were in the Nelson, when we were on that trip, we had another problem. We were coming down the road in the box. We were from 115 to 175 box coming down the road. And the guy I was with, it's got a good sized box. You ever seen they go backwards?
For what?
You ever seen they go backwards on the bike?
No.
Go in reverse in the one way, uphill. The buffalo just, then he saw him run. I told him, I said, don't need to run, sit still, and let him go by. And he did. But when you hold by and brush up the pipe, and you feel that you walk. But I mean, that kind of respect is something you like. When you have a lot of that close, that's very wonderful.
Yeah,
I knew that. If you come in front of them, they're waiting for it, power together. When you, I mean, I just sit there and look at that thing in awe. You can't get no more respect than that. you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, we learn in our teachings that, we respect the creator, we respect all life and life forms, like the buffalo. And for the most part, I believe we do. But how about each other humans, and amongst ourselves? I mean, the four-leggeds, the winged animals. I mean, I've sat and watched birds kind of fight, chase each other, squirrels, chipmunks, and different things like that, but nothing really extremely bizarre, but human beings. Do you think we have a problem with respect? Yeah. What do you think the answer to that is? Or what is respect? I want to ask you, yeah. How about your friends? Well, that's all right. Do any of you guys might know what respect is? Being kind. Hmm? Don't talk when people are talking. Okay. All right. Tana? Is it Tana? Tani? Yeah, Tani.
Just, the way, when I was teaching my kids, I do teach my kids about respect.
Yes.
But I will teach them that we are all equal. We're not above the other person.
Right.
And I talk about this all the time, because she was teenage babies, And she sometimes says we things for sister. And I tell her all the time, like, even with bullies, I'm like, even with bullies, you still have respect. You let them know the boundaries, like, hey, you don't talk to them like that, but you don't stoop down to them. Because I'm not lazy enough.
Hmm.
You're walking a different path, and it's not that way. So she very, she trusts me, she knows the speech, but she's been getting about it.
So respect is an important thing because not only for boundaries, like the animals teach us, and there was a period in our creation where we learned really from the animals, the four-leggeds, the wings, the crawler, all about their behavior, and we tried to copy that, instill it, emulate it into our own life about the boundaries and stuff, and the behaviors of the male and female, we emulated a lot of that. So respect is important, but we think it's important, we believe it's important, but how about when you feel you're not respected? Your presence is not respected. What do you tell, your daughter?
I won't hear this.
Okay,
See,
what if that individual persists to disrespect?
They do. I had to use it. Okay, when I was a kid, we fought, but that was brutal things.
Mm-hmm.
But the way when I was a young kid, even though I was raised to fight, it wasn't too long ago. I stood up for the one that were weak.
Right.
And I
Okay.
stood up for the one. And that's how I tried to raise it too, but I told them that they're not about this man that must be strikes them first. but their voice is the biggest thing. And I believe that, I believe their voice is super powerful. And they said, if I come with the family the first time, raise your voice louder.
What if they don't want to fight? What if they don't want to fight and they continue to get bullied and knocked down? What advice do you give them?
They're like that world plan,
Mhm.
I want to say that. They learn how to defend themselves. That's how I was raised.
We have children that are so meek, are so timid, that their spirits are just so precious that they don't know anything about fighting. The whole idea or seeing something like that or fighting back, they just can't comprehend that.
Yeah.
And that spirit is so precious. It's just, we have like animals, like the deer, wawashki, that's so humble and meek.
What-
They're easily slain. The bucks will fight, but a lot of the does won't fight. They won't fight. So we were given permission to hunt. We're supposed to thank them. But sometimes human beings are that way, but then there's others that will fight, of course, So, yeah,
Oh, yeah, raise my girls, but it's a different path. It's a way to defend themselves.
Right.
Because I know they could
so fighting back is the right thing to do?
to defend yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not.
And that, do you agree with that? Same with your integrity, if they dishonor you or disrespect you or say something that your attacks are on something that you hold very special to you?
Not if it's words.
Huh.
If it's words, no. I'm talking about a big attack.
Oh, physically, yes, okay, okay. All right. I had an old man, a gentleman here, try to reach me here last week and I stepped out of the office and I wasn't able to get that. I got the message, but even as an elder, he was being attacked with prejudice or remarks. And he wanted to speak to another elder who wanted to give him some tools. And when you have elders that really can't protect themselves, like adults, or what do you do when they attacked you, or maybe you push you around, or how does an elder manage that? I know as a innocent, as somebody coming up, maybe we would assist them, but what does this elder do when they're alone?
Names.
Carry on.
Adult protective services.
No, what does this old guy do?
Breaking arm for 3 years old, it's our weapon. Invincible. I didn't see that, but it was no game, on carrying.
Yeah,
Is that wrong? Put your back.
yeah, it is. As another human being, a weaker individual, especially if they're old and
Somebody's
attack you.
doing it to me.
Yeah.
Oh, to me.
Yeah, I think you should try, you need to try to say something to them.
But if that doesn't work,
Then you need to try to walk away if you can walk away. Or call out for help. Because if you're not able to defend yourself and alone, you want to try to, maybe that's all you have.
we have that
Where's your hearing about this law?
all the time.
Mhm.
And we asked for help to come in, and we taught 3rd through 6th graders how to do conflict resolution.
Right?
And the children chose the person that they wanted to be the mediator on the playground after school. And they learned the skill of finding out what's wrong, why is this person mad, why is this person mad? What do you think would solve it? What do you think would solve it? Well, what would be, the solution we can both agree on? And I went from 36 referrals from clients each month down to 1 every 3 months. Because the children carry the skills. But I sometimes heard from the children that they were using for the parents, that they were using it in their home. For things that happen between brothers and sisters. But I think elders could learn that skill, because when somebody's mad and attacking you, if they're rational enough, it's like, why are you so upset? What is happening here?
Right.
Have I done something? So all of us can do better at trying to figure out what the matter is coming from.
Right.
Yes.
Well, most of,
To that, Stephanie online says the first teaching tells us we need to show love.
yeah. By talking to them out of compassion or even need to try to understand them. You can find conflict resolution within a controlled setting like a school. You know, you can tell teachers or counselors or administration about those kind of things. And of course, then the parents are brought in on it, but respect is probably one of the biggest issues, the most important issues that man and women have failed to embrace since for thousands of years. It's led to so much conflict, from very little conflict and argument or disagreement to outright wars and extermination and atrocities. That we as human beings have a right to be seen and be heard, regardless who we are, ethnically or yeah, we're all one people created by the Creator. And but unfortunately, again, prejudice arises out of disrespect or lack of respect. Looking at somebody in a pervasive way because they might not be the same color, or they might be older, they could be younger. This whole idea of us kind of not them holding a position and of authority, and you don't have a position of authority, and them using that authority to affect their life. And that their decision is fine, and this is the way it's going to be. It's always been that way. And we all strive to teach our children to live with, you know, what respect really means. And I like your answer, you know, that we're all equal, really. If the Creator can look at us equally and love us no matter what, that we should try to always work on ourselves, improve ourselves to be like that. And people will say, well, I can't give respect if they don't respect me. Well, but then we need to get out of that circle, and how can we actually live with ourselves and feel that we're on a good path and that we're in a healthy circle? Because sometimes words can be really harsh. Actions can be really harsh and really far reaching. And how do we break out of that?
It's just understand. I think it's just basic knowledge. Because we teach us all the time. We think out of JDC, the kids are hot, just mad, angry, but I think the more we teach them, the more we try to understand, like, you don't know where they're coming from. You know, but we're like, oh, they don't even understand, it's like, you don't know that. And even when I was younger, growing up with all the kids that, all my buddies and all the struggles they were going through. I didn't even know most of the struggles, we didn't even talk about the struggles we were going through, we just come out, you know. And so the more understand where she told me kids, the more they're being respectful, but like. They'll know they don't like anybody, but they're not always saying things, because it's not okay, and they're starting to understand where we can't with each other. And those are life skills.
Right.
Those are really big life skills that everybody should know.
right,
They don't, I remember 2 third graders, and one of got a toy playground, this, the cars that ran around. The remotes,
oh, yeah,
wasn't supposed to happen there, but one of his buddies, a little cookie guy, said, oh, can I have them? And the kid shared, gave it over, the kid played with it, the bell rang, and the first boy asked for the toy back. But in a cookie way, if you give it to them.
hmm,
So there was a cultural difference, and I knew instantly when I saw the 2 kids in my office, and they told me the story of what happened. So then we had to learn that generosity is a part of this child's culture, and when he gives them, it stays there.
right,
So they understood each other better, and the Kootenai kid had learned that the other kid had different value too. So it turned out okay, and they didn't try it again, and the car went back to the person that had it first. But the cultural differences are really important sometimes, because the culture is different.
so what you're saying is that. In a lot of the conflict resolution or misunderstanding of cultures or perspectives, that sometimes compromise is what is understanding what it is. Just we need to compromise our beliefs to effectively get along with somebody else or their beliefs so that relationship is maintained. I do believe that, because a lot of times neighboring tribes would come to us, visit us, and they would do things that, wasn't, we knew that, of course, that's not our tribal way, but they're honoring us, they're doing something for us. And so I had an elder tell me one time that when I go amongst the Dakota, that we do things the Dakota, you do things the Dakota way. And when the Dakota come amongst the Anishinaabe, if they're respectful, they don't try to impose what they think, they do things. And that creates a compromise, a way of thinking. And the tribes, I think, have been following that forever. And with the first coming of the colonizers, they tried to do that by teaching them how to survive off the land, offering them what knowledge we had for their survival. And but over time, things changed. So there's all these respect. These are the respect of the elders. The elders always teach young people and that we should respect all of this. The creator, of course, all of creation, our parents, the elders, Mother Earth, all things, respect your culture, respect your traditions. And that's important because your language, your culture, your traditions, what define you as who you are. It defines us who we are. If we lose that, then we definitely lose our identity. Okay. And I think that's important. Anybody else want to talk about
one of the things that we our grandson's question, and he's 15, is that, and we've taught him this since the beginning, that when you go to someone else's house or someone at school and we're not there, you're representing our family. You're representing yourself and how you choose to act. If it's in a disrespectful way, then people are gonna think that's not what it is. So always remember, when you go somewhere, whether it's a school activity or class or friends, you're representing Paul and I and yourself.
Mhm.
And so I think that's why he's able to talk so well with other adults and, you know, he's kind of conflict person that will help when people are having arguments and strength and stuff. But that's
You-
one of our very strong points we want.
Do you think adults should do that too?
You know, when you're going somewhere, you're representing yourself and how you act.
Yeah.
You know, and how people see you, and some people have the attitude they don't really care, but I think deep down they do.
What's that stereotype that us as native people had for a long time, how other races of people perceived us? For so long. Huh? We were mean? Well, more, that's, yeah, well, I can. Yeah. Women can be mean. Right, Richard? I can see that going around in your mind. But something more like Indians are drunkards, huh? Well, like in my days, I used to say, you guys are no good. You're a bunch of drunks. You know, you don't probably hear that too much today. It's a generational thing.
Yeah, my.
White people visit the reservation and they seen the people there. They're all gone. They used to be in our community. I'm sorry, go ahead. You were saying?
Oh, yeah, like my generation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know, one more thing. That's a privilege for all of the reservation.
Mhm.
Kids from here in the most traditional native families across the cultures. The children were raised with respect for each other
Mhm.
from the youngest age. They are not afraid to talk to an adult or an adult. They visit with each other and all age levels. And if I'm carrying something that looks heavy, 2 or 3 kids will come and help.
Yeah.
You know, so that respect is still so deep in the culture, and the advantage of it is, I asked a girl in Parkview one time, what happens when she comes to town and she's riding with her uncle, and he tells her to put her phone away. And she said, I put my phone away, and it stays away, and it doesn't ring, because I'm with him now,
Mhm.
and we're with each other. And I think that that's probably the most important thing for making them strong, is to know they can talk to anyone at any age. And whether they're native or not native, it doesn't matter. They know enough, learn to talk with people.
Mhm. How about a girls? On girls, do you feel like you can go up to adults and tell them what you think about any given subject they may be talking about, or do you feel like you have to be welcomed into the conversation, or do you just jump in to the conversation? Huh? Yeah, okay. That happens so much, and I've seen that so much when adults are talking, especially the more younger adults. Is if they just jump in on each other's conversation where another person doesn't finish talking, they just continually do that. And I see that a lot amongst the other people, younger people. And so, that lack of respect. That's happened to me a lot, and I just kind of, okay. I don't know how to respond to that, but yeah.
I know I've always learned that type of thing, and a little bit of traditional ways of if you're not being spoken to, you don't speak.
Hmm,
And if you are spoken to, you speak.
right.
And that type of respect, has been with me for a lot of years.
Mhm.
I really, I can be around somebody, I can hear I'll listen to their conversation. But until they speak to me, I'll listen to the word.
Right. So there's subtle ways of bringing young people in, the conversation, but it's also, I think they know that too, because it's amongst their own peers, where if somebody from the outside comes and kind of butts into their conversation, they know it's rude, right? Right? So I think we know that but I do think we need to engage the young people more about those kind of protocols of communication, showing respect. And being helpful. Showing respect is also a way that we show, how do we show respect? In action and in voice, So we put our Anishinaabe showed us respect and humility when he offered that first tobacco. Say ma, he said, I'm giving this to you. Acknowledging what what his father, the creator, had done for him. And for everything. And so, yeah, we do that in nature. We do that to each other, to our elders.
Another thing I try to instill with my kids and grandkids, others around us. It's okay to agree.
Oh, yeah.
Family through the years of, you and I talked about this here a while back, where one has a strong feeling about this and the other one, and then it just blows out, and it's like, I don't have to agree with what you say, but I can respect what you say.
Mm-hmm.
That's been a tough one, but and that's how it used to be. Put that place.
Yeah, having strong perspective. Each one of my kids is different. Each one of the brothers is completely different. And that's what leads to them bickering and fighting and almost confrontation, physical confrontation. Because of respecting each other's perspective. They like to do things differently. And because they're always together and they try to work together, sometimes they have a different perspective how to get the job done. So, there's always, we have to find a way to respect that other person, their way of doing things. Sometimes we take ourselves completely out of the picture. I don't know if that's the answer. Awesome. Awesome. That must be hard, girls. Get yourself going like this and,
They've done studies on teenagers, and in 20 minutes separated from their phone, their anxiety level goes up.
oh yeah,
Those stress hormones come in because we don't have it.
yeah,
Other teenagers anymore. I hear my uncle all the time with it. And then our cable keeps on going in and out. So as soon as the cable goes out, I'm like, well, look at my phone. Why can't I look at my phone either? Because it's all food. But the compare these books, I can actually get. Take too long with the cable in the book.
yeah, so. Yeah, it's been very difficult, you know, with how life is evolving. We have that third person in our lives, AI. And so it's, they make themselves very prevalently known and, yeah. And AI demands attention, very much so, so. Yeah.
Well, I'm much time to that. So we're at 8 o'clock.
We are, all right, well, gee, we'll have to, the next, we'll have to. I was planning to do 3 topics a day or the week, but that isn't gonna happen, but we'll have time. Get them all. You have any offers of suggestion? I know these topics are sometimes they can get personal and difficult. But we're here to support each other.
I really like, what's your name? Tegan? I really liked Tegan's answer on respect, when she said listening,
Listening.
because listening is one of the most important things to respect. And that's my thought when I said that. So I'll give you an example. When I was over in Iraq, in that war,
Mhm.
we were working with the Iraqis, and we were training the soldiers, we were training the Iraqis on ground maneuvers, urban warfare,
Mhm.
combat. Training them from what US knows to trying to apply it with the Iraqis.
Yeah.
And some of the soldiers were having a hard time teaching the Iraqis communication. Some of the soldiers were disrespecting the Iraqis, thinking they were dumb, not knowing what they, what to do, or they couldn't understand it. So there's some conflicts there,
Mhm.
that type of thing. And me and this other guy were watching what was going on. And I was kind of quiet and everything, and finally, one of the sergeants got really upset and said, probably you jump in there and you get these guys going. They're not understanding these maneuvers, and they're not understanding this. So I was sitting there with the interpreter and I said, okay. So there's about 9 or 10 of these guys, right? And then I'm thinking, oh, geez, somebody help me do this, but anyway, we're sitting around with these guys and we started a conversation. And I couldn't understand the interpreters kind of talking about it a little bit. And the soldier was saying, well, we had 8 years more, 8 years more with us, or 20-year veterans, 15-year veterans, the Iran-Iraq war.
Yeah.
We were part of that.
Yeah.
We've been fighting all our lives. We understand this. They talk to us like we're stupid, like we're dumb, we don't know what we're doing. So they were frustrated.
Mhm.
So I was listening to that, and me and this other guy that was working with me. So we're listening, we're learning. And then you listen, you learn, you assess the situation, and then you apply it. And so through the interpreter and the other guy that I was working with, we started talking, they started talking. And they said, are you native? And I said, yeah, I'm native. We're natives too. We're horse culture. We respect Indians in North America. So.
There you go.
Hey, we're getting somewhere, you know, we're getting somewhere, you know. Anyway, it's kind of continued like that, right? Then it's like, this is what the guy wants to do. I said, we know, you know what you're doing. You know, you've been in war for many years and you've practiced these things. So we're just gonna change it up a little bit, and this is what they're asking.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah, okay. And then it's, sure enough, those guys, they went over in the corner, they started talking amongst themselves. Then they come back and said, Sergeant Pronto, Sergeant Jones, we're ready to do this. So, okay, lined everybody up. And then they did the maneuvers. And one of the ending of the maneuvers was to come and attack the sergeants sitting in the Humvee. That was the final objective, right?
Hmm.
They finished all the maneuvers and all of them on point, got to where the sergeants were in the vehicle, and they passed.
Oh, wow.
And then moved on next day. And the first sergeant came over and said, Pronto, how the hell did you guys get those guys to do that? We've been fighting with this all day long. So when I said, we showed them respect. We listened, we assessed, and we applied. And that's why I love our institute.
Miigwech. Showing us how to use that tool, the tools of respect. Yeah, what is it again? Listen. Come on. Louder, can't hear.
That's it.
That's nice.
Listen, assess. Apply. Yeah. So, yeah, awesome. Okay. Well, let's conclude. I want to thank every one of you. It was really good. Thank you for participating. We still have next week, yeah? Oh, yeah. So let's have something to eat. There's plenty of food here if you have time. You don't want to rush off and stuff, so.
We're the same one.
I think so, from last time. All right. Okay.
Thank you all for attending.